What is good, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is JustClark, and today I'm gonna be starting a little series where for the next 7 days I am going to be practicing rendering materials, element, and textures, which is pretty much gonna be practicing rendering skin, eyes, hair, glow, like metallic surfaces, matte surfaces, water, interactions with like wet clothes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna be practicing all of those. The reason why I'm doing this is to improve my material definition for my illustrations, especially when I'm finishing touches. I'm adding those little details and just being able to make the elements feel like what they should be. So yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the future. Okay, so starting off with the skin, to be honest, I struggled with the face at first, as you can see. I was trying to figure out how I'm supposed to have recreate, as you can see from the reference image, the very light tone of the face, and without changing the opacity, but I just was not able to do it. And then another thing I realized is that I think Minion-san used a darker base color, not base color, but shadow color compared to the face, but later on I did adjust the saturation and brightness of the face color, and as you can see, sometimes I like to work in reverse, where pretty much I would paint first the shadow color and then erase for the highlights. And as you can see, I'm softly blurring the skin a lot because the skin is a smooth surface, which means that the shadows will probably travel very smoothly and really have a lot of gradation. And then for the second level of shadows, it's mostly hard shadows, but there are some that I blend and blur out, there's some that I don't. And as you can see, there we go, I did readjust the face color, made it a little darker because I just saw that it was out of contrast, unlike the body. So I feel like it's pretty much same color, except I do gotta change the opacity, but it may change from a case-to-case basis depending on the character lighting. And I think I use it's either add glow or glow dodge for the highlights of the face. And next up, I'm working on the features, which are the eyes and the mouth and tongue. And for the eyes, honestly, figuring out how to color the eyes has been such a fun experience because I've always struggled with rendering the eyes. And what I've realized is that I should not blur. I should not blur whenever I'm making the eyes. And with Miya-san's process, it's pretty much drop the shadows and then the highlights after you render the shadows, and then adding a little bit of the base color on the shadow area, as well as making little highlights to kind of show that the eyelids, isn't the eyelids, or are those the, oh yeah, I think the eyelashes, they're fucking go, oh shit. And then for the highlight, like the soft highlight, I ended up going with color dodge instead of overlay because I felt that it reduces the contrast a lot better, and it just makes it overall not too vibrant and really balanced with the eyes overall. So yeah. Alright, now moving on to hair. This one that you're seeing right now is actually my second try because I fucking deleted the first one because it was just tragic. I was just struggling. It felt weird. You know, because I'm always like practicing and trying to improve. There are those days where, let's say, like, okay, I improved my skin rendering, right? After let's say first week I was improving my hair rendering. I'm very happy with it. I'm improving my coloring for the hair, and then the next like few days I'm gonna practice the skin and the eyes, and then when I get back to the hair I'm like, what the fuck, I forgot everything. And maybe that's just me because I'm not slowing down and not really intaking all the information. But pretty much after this I did look at Mino-san's little work in progress stuff, which is in his Fantier, I guess pretty much is how you pronounce it, and just looking at how they their process, how they render hair. And I think my mistake here is not blocking out the big shadows and like separating the elements like the hair at the back, the twin tails and stuff at the start, and I just went on to render, trying to make it look finalized and not breaking it down. So I think that's my main mistake when I was coloring the hair here. But other than that, there are still huge improvements to how I colored my hair, not my hair, but like my character hair, drawing, rendering, and shit. Uh, but yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, I think I've really improved the highlights because my mistake back then, I thought that you gotta make big ass highlights on top of the shadows, and that just made my work look very messy and unrefined. And the thing I noticed with a lot of artists is that, with a lot of professional artists, is that their works actually look much more simple compared to, oh my goodness, what was that voice right? Their works look a lot more simple compared to artists that are starting out, because the new artists, like me, kind of focus too much on the details and not really how to make something look how it's supposed to, with less effort. Not saying that there are no effort that artists put into, but what I'm saying is that, like with the hair, instead of rendering out single strands, it's like you render out the groups. So yeah, I'm a little late on the clothes, but this is actually been made on a different day. I worked on the clothes on a different day, and as you can see, I did not make the mistake of trying to render everything out at the start. As you can see, I first laid out the big shadows, and I was figuring out how to use the colors for the shadows a lot better to make everything work. Because looking at the reference picture, it was like it went from kind of like desaturated reddish, bluish, gray, and then the medium shadows are like bluish. So I had to figure that out, and the biggest thing that I realized is how Minion Sun moves around the hues of the color wheel, and I find that I haven't been too ballsy or like bold with how I move around the hue, and I've been very minimal, which leads to less of a vibrant color. So that's one mistake, and that's something that I learned and noticed by studying artists, which is helping me make very big leaps into my rendering and stuff. But I feel like if I'm still continuing to just study and not apply it without looking at references, which you still gotta look at references, but I sometimes feel like you hold your hand too much, and it's kind of not really self-destructive, but it holds you back. So pretty much, I think I'm trying to find that balance of no hand holding, but also humbling myself enough to say, okay, I need a reference for this if I want my work to look really good. So yeah, anyways, for the clothes, I really just worked with three main shadow colors, which is the big, medium, and then the cast shadow. And as you can see, I'm adding a little bit of a multiply layer to kind of enhance the cast shadows of a few areas. So also utilize blend modes, I'm telling you that. So
Alright, and I'm
yeah,
back. Ha ha. This is day 1 and day 2. I'm not gonna lie, I have been practicing rendering the skin, the eyes, and the hair for a few days before I thought about making this video. So I've practiced a little bit more. Not This ain't like my first time working on it, but still, repetition is very important. That's why, like, I don't skip steps. And also my line art and sketching, breaking down posts and all that stuff has also improved along the way, just practicing. But anyways, let's go about the stuff that I have learned and have realized working on this. So for the skin, what I've really paid attention and realized too is that there's a lot of radiation happening on the skin. One, mainly because skin is a soft surface, right? So pretty much it's like spherical and all that stuff. So obviously it has a smooth like transition from light to dark, as well as having that subsurface scattering. So pretty much most of it is blurred except for like occlusion and cast shadows, which has to be very minimal. Observe your own skin and all that kind of stuff and see how light works with it. Pretty much what I've realized. As you guys may have observed from how I transitioned and shaded the skin, you see that I did like rough shadings and all that kind of stuff. I kind of realized there is like that's how I'm able to process the gradation. Next up, for the eyes, the depth of the eyes has really been something that I really just learned. Like the way you pretty much draw the shape of the shadow on top, that kind of stuff. And I added like a little bit of the base color a lighter base color on top there just to really soften the eyes a lot more. For the highlights, I think it's really just like being able to render the eyes to be reflective, as well as because the eyes have this like little layer that is wet, so adding a lot of highlights and making it look a little fluid really helps the eye look not just reflective but also makes it feel alive. It makes it feel there's like that layered cornea or some shit. I'm not sure. Next up is the hair. I'm still figuring out lighting with the hair. Sometimes I did get pretty confused with this. I'm still figuring a lot of stuff out with the hair, but what I've realized, even just for all the elements, is that you really gotta start with the big shadows. Don't get too stuck into the details. And by rendering, I would say is just understanding how hair flows. And then for the highlights, what I realized is that minimal highlights are important because hair isn't actually shiny. It's just that it's very easy to notice the shiny hair, but it's not shiny. It's kind of contradictory, but yeah, it is what it is. And lastly, for the clothes, add on the big shadows and then render out the folds, and then add on the medium shadows, render out the folds again. And for the deepest, the darkest shadow, most of that is just occlusion. And another thing that I've learned with the colors is that do not be afraid to move hues a lot more than just like a little bit of orange to red. Orange, you could go from orange to red to like pink, violet, and that kind of stuff. Don't be too afraid. Be bold with it. So yeah, pretty much what I've learned. In the next episode, I'm gonna be working on rendering materials and foliage. So that's like, you know, wood, cements, rock, metals. Foliage would be like grass, trees, leaves, bushes, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys learned something. I'm gonna try my best to explain this as much as I can because I'm not good at explaining. I'm a visual learner, so you know I learn more from just seeing as well as doing. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Follow me on Twitter, see my art, see my stuff there. Follow me on Pixiv. Subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next video.